At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce to you today's guest speaker, Command Sergeant Major Christopher Beron. Command Sergeant Major Christopher Beron is a native of Proctor, Minnesota, and joined the Minnesota Army National Guard as a 52 Delta power generation equipment repairer in 1994. He attended basic combat training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and attended advanced individual training as a generator mechanic at the Aberdeen Proving Grounds, Maryland. Command Sergeant Major Beron's duty positions include power generator mechanic, Stinger missile gunner, Avenger missile system team chief, recruiting and retention NCO, agricultural marketing specialist, recruiting and retention section chief, recruiting and retention state master trainer, recruiting and retention first sergeant, and recruiting and retention command sergeant major. His assignments include the Minnesota Army National Guard, Duluth, Minnesota, 1994 to 2009, and the Wisconsin Army National Guard, 2009 to present. He has deployed to Afghanistan in support of Task Force Badger with the 82nd Agribusiness Development Team, 2012 to 2013. Command Sergeant Major Beron has been awarded numerous awards and decorations, including the Recruiting and Retention NCO Expert Badge with Director 54 device. Ladies and gentlemen, Command Sergeant Major Beron.
Should have got up early and stopped that. I just feel older, mostly because I got to put glasses on to be able to read my own speech here. So, Colonel Cherry, Colonel Ferguson, I'd like to start off by saying thank you for giving me this opportunity to come be here. Like my bio said, this is kind of a culminating event for me right now. I started recruiting May 7th of 2000. So being May 3rd, I'm coming up on my 24-year anniversary in recruiting, which some will say is crazy, but I love it. So it's a great job. And really that's what I want to kind of focus on with this speech today. You spent the last several weeks focused on learning skills, right? Where do I find it? How do I qualify people? How do I do this job? I want to talk about what you want to be as a person to be successful in this job. In my 24 years, I've kind of figured out there's 3 things that'll really put you over the top in production recruiting. That's grit and perseverance, your work ethic, and ultimately being a good person, all right? So on the grit and perseverance side of things, it's first and foremost because this job will beat you down. It's hard. It is not an easy profession, but it is one of the most rewarding professions I think you'll ever do in your career. We get up every day as production recruiters, and our sole purpose is to go and change someone's life. Like if the hair on the back of your neck didn't just stand up, you're gonna have a hard time, right? This profession puts you in a position where your sole purpose is to find someone and help them to change the trajectory of their life. So grit and perseverance, where that comes in, you're gonna hear no a lot more than you're gonna hear yes. So coming from a northern community in Minnesota, I grew up with a lot of Scandinavians, right? We had a lot of Finlanders. And they had a saying, right? Find your sisu. So sisu, defined, is extraordinary determination in the face of extreme adversity and courage that is presented, typically in situations where success is unlikely. Recruiting, right? Most situations and most of the time you're going to go into an interview and that answer is going to probably be no. And that's okay, right? Hearing a no sometimes is a good thing. Helps us to move on, right? But a lot of times we need to overcome the objections and figure out how to get to a yes. So find that inner sisu, right? You'll hear no, right? You'll have situations where you've got to defend yourself as a recruiter. So you got to find that grit. You got to find that reason. For me, like I said, getting up every day, knowing my job was to go change someone's life, that's where I found it. So I challenge you to find your inner Sisu and carry it forward through your time in production recruiting. Work ethic. At the end of the day, if you want to be a successful production recruiter, you got to do the work. This is a profession that you're going to be in a position where you're going to have total autonomy in a lot of cases. You'll be on your own. You might hear from your boss once a week, once a month. If it's once a month, you might want to ask questions. But once a week, it's your franchise. You go build it. But you got to do the work. You got to make the calls. You got to do the school visits. You got to build the relationships. If you don't do these things, you're going to fail. Failure is a tough word. It's hard to hear, right? For most of us, we've never failed in anything in our careers, especially our military careers. It's okay, right? We learn from those failures, we fix it, and we drive on. We do it better next time. Work ethic. You've got to do the work. This job is going to take a lot from you, right? A lot of weekends, a lot of long hours, a lot of nights. It's part of it. But at the end of the day, get back to that, I'm changing someone's life. Hold on to that. Be a good person. This is probably the most important piece of this, right? We've all heard stories of recruiters, and you'll sit down at the kitchen table with mom and dad, and you'll have to justify your existence as a recruiter, right? That you're not a used car salesman or a snake oil salesman. Recruiter's just going to tell you what you want to hear, right? They're going to lie to you to get you in boots, and then they'll forget about you. I'm going to tell you, if you enlist somebody and you focus solely on that number, you put them in boots and you walk away from them, your time in recruiting is probably going to be pretty short. You might survive a couple of years, 2 or 3, but it'll catch up with you. Be a good person. Every one of those individuals you sit in front of whose lives you're going to change, right? Be a part of that life after they put the boots on. Do the right thing. We focus on 7 core Army values in the military, right? Loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, personal courage. Every one of those values will be challenged with this job. You'll be in positions where doing the right thing sometimes is a hard decision, but it doesn't need to be. Find a happy medium. That work-life balance, it's hard to do in the military. It's harder to do in the recruiting command. When you're at work, work. When you're at home, be present. Be a good person. Focus on those things that have made you successful, getting to this point in your career, and carry that into those individuals that you enlist. Those kids join because they want to be like you. So if they want to be like you, give them something to truly emulate. Be a good person. How many times have I said be a good person? All right? I get to do a lot of investigations in my job, and it's terrible because recruiters do the wrong things, and sometimes they're just not good people. So be a good person. Lastly, I want to congratulate you for being willing to step up and volunteer to do this. Like I said, this is not an easy job. Recruiting is tough. It's hard. It's long hours. It's time away from your family. You get called names sometimes. That's hard. But it's truly, truly one of the most fulfilling professions I've ever had in my 30 years in the military, and I've got to do some really crazy stuff. I got to go help farmers in Afghanistan. Like, whoever thought you'd do that wearing a uniform? So enjoy this job. Congratulations on your successes in getting through this course. I wish you all nothing but success. But remember, right? It takes grit and perseverance. You got to do the work, and you need to be a good person. That's all I have. Thank you.
Command Sergeant Major Beron, thank you for your time, your wisdom, and those inspiring words.